push record on my shit.
Fucked around, turned the camera off when I was fucking adjusting camera angle. So, like I was saying, my commercial, Eighth Brother, please sponsor me. Let me promote you guys. Eighth Brother weed. So I grew up in the era where weed was illegal. Let's start there. I started smoking weed when I was, I think, 16. I might have been 15, but I think I was 16 already. And, I grew up with asthma, so I was always scared to smoke weed. I thought if I smoked weed, I was going to die. Turns out weed cures asthma. But that's another conversation for another day. So, when I used to smoke weed, bro, like, weed was illegal, bro. Like, we had to, like, be leery. I mean, it was still California, so being in California is different than other places, but even still, like, I mean, yeah, we could walk down the street in my neighborhood and smoke a blunt on the street, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but if you were, like, out smoking and shit, you did have to be leery and, like, make sure, like, a cop wasn't right there, or, like, hold it like a cigarette, so from far away it looks like you guys are smoking a cigarette, or, because cops, I heard stories of, like, motherfuckers getting rolled on by the cops where the cops took their weed and broke their pipes, smashed their pipes, or, beat them up, shit like that. I knew this one kid, he got fucking straight, like, body slammed on his face, tackled by a cop or some shit, and the nigga took his weed and fucking broke his fucking pipe. So, you did have to look out. This shit was illegal. You had to buy weed from drug dealers. You feel me? Eventually, they started doing medical shit. If you had, like, your medical card, you could go get it at the dispensaries, for a few years. But I never had that shit. I was never that legit to, So, and then, with the dispensary weed, the government's tampering with it. They're putting different chemicals on it. I've heard they put, like, excessive, like, estrogen in it to, like, spike your estrogen levels and shit like that after you smoke it. They put that shit in there. But whatever. I'm going to smoke weed because life's hard and smoking weed is fun. And aside from the fact that it's fun, the human body has cannabinoid receptors in it. Biologically, there's cannabinoid receptors in the human body and in the human brain. If we weren't meant to smoke a plant, why would we have those receptors specifically for that plant? And think about how insane it is that there's a plant that grows out of the ground that the intention of the planet or the universe or whatever causes that plant to grow is for us to ingest it. And our body, a totally different biological organism, has receptors in it for that plant. That didn't hit because my joint went out. That's why I was going to start fucking with my lighter, but I was talking too much. Weed is also a shamanic practice. There's a whole shamanic aspect to smoking weed, the rituals of usage of lighters, smoking. Can you hear? Extracting resin out of a pipe. I dry smoke this pipe more than I smoke weed out of it. I just smoke resin out of it. And I don't even scrape resin no more, bro. Like, I have the breathing technique to where when I just hit it, I can just make the flames hit the walls of the pipe and pull the smoke off the resin. Sometimes I have to scrape it. Sometimes I've smoked ash out of my ashtray. Hella bowls of ash. I did this last time. This even impressed myself. They used to call me the roach master when I started smoking weed. Because whenever I'd smoke with people, I never had my own weed. I only smoked with people. But I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of people who I knew, and I would smoke with motherfuckers. And once I became a stoner, I was all in with the shit. So when I would smoke with people, I'd be like, can I have the doobie? Like, I had no shame. Back then. And people would be like, yeah, they don't give a fuck. A nigga who just bought an ounce of weed doesn't give a fuck if you take the doobie from the blunt. And I would just put whatever doobies I could get in my wallet, bro. And I would go home and smoke that shit out of a little pipe that I made out of this old, like, little cookie container. I had Obey stickers on it from Zoomies, bro. And I used to smoke that shit. I called it the peace pipe. Everyone who knows me from high school smoked out my peace pipe. I guarantee it. Because my house was like the smoke spot, bro. My room was upstairs. You could climb out my window onto the roof of, because I lived in, like, a townhouse where it was, like, 4 different ones, like, on each corner of the one connected, like, structure. Bruh, we'd just be up there smoking weed, bruh. Climb out, smoking on the roof. Nigga, I smoked in my room. My whole house would smell like weed, bro. I'd be smoking in my closet and shit. Like, I was a young-ass kid. Fucking stupid. But, we had to smoke weed illegal. So, like, for the longest, I haven't really wanted to fuck with dispensary weed, and I haven't changed my view. Like, I still know that this dispensary weed, is chemically tampered, whatever the fuck. But compared to the other kind of shit like fast food and poorly processed meats that you get at the grocery store, instead of ingesting shit like that, whatever bad shit is in weed, I know what the good shit that's in it is stronger than the bad shit. Because, like I said, we have cannabinoid receptors. We're meant to use cannabis as a plant. For us, we have a relationship with them through the mycelium network, which connects all trees and life that is nature on the planet is all interconnected into the oceans and the coral reefs. It all is connected to one central mycelium network. And that mycelium network, think about this. If every tree on the planet is connected to each other because it goes through the oceans and the coral reefs and it connects all the continents on some Pangea shit, okay. If any tree goes far enough away from the land, it'll reach water. And then it can go down through the water and connect to the other ones, right? But if it's connecting, does the mycelium network, is it able to just travel through the water itself? Or does it have to follow along the shore of the coral reefs down to the bottom of the ocean and cross like a bridge and go over? If it does, what dimension is that down there? I have a video on this channel, a short, called Black Devilfish. And it's footage of a black devilfish. And I've heard about these before. They had never been captured on film. I think only maybe one other time. This might have been the first time ever. It's a fish that looks like a demon. It looks like a demon out of hell, like a severed demon head floating just out of hell. Like, that's what it looked like. And the first time I seen the video, it was tilted to the side. So I didn't realize like the perspective of like where its eyes was. It just looked like a mouth like this on the side of like a head, but no eyes, but something sticking out like an antenna. And I was just like, oh fuck. But it was like tilted like this. It was because its head was like tilted to the side, so its mouth was like up, but kind of to the side. So it looked weird. And then once I could still see, oh, well, it is a fish. But it still looks hella trippy, bro. It still looks like a fucking demon. Like, that shit still looks like a fucking monster, dog. Like, it looks weird as fuck. It looks weird as shit, bro. It looks straight up like a demon. So it's like, the mycelium network is wherever that shit all connects. You feel me? Like, where that fucking shit connects, that's the mycelium network. And then that has a relation of people to the land. That's why, like, Native Americans, the indigenous people of North America, South America, any indigenous people of any part of the world, because we're all the original tribes of the planet are all indigenous to where they's at, but specifically talking about the Native Americans here in America and the, American indigenous, they had a relationship with the land. They knew how to live from the land and live with the land and alongside the animals, the buffaloes, the elks, all that shit. Like, when I be walking, and I'm walking by, like, creeks and shit, and, like, there's, like, different shit like that, like the rural parts of, living in the city, but there's still rural areas and shit, especially in Northern California. I be thinking, like, yeah, like I can feel this, like, calling almost of, like, the nature, like, know the land. Like, I could hear this shit, bro. Like, know the land. It's telling me, like, know the land. Like, how Geronimo and the fucking renegade Apaches was outmaneuvering the government because they're fucking deep in the bush. Like, they can't even find these niggas. They're hiding in caves during the day. They're coming out at night, sneaking through the woods, and they can't even find them. The government can't even find them to take them out because they're so in touch with the land. Like, I be hearing the land on some, like, indigenous shit. Because here's the other thing, like, I think of myself as an indigenous person, bro. Because aside from the fact that I probably have Native American bloodlines in my blood, just the fact based on being black, you know what I'm saying? In America, most of us have Native American in our blood because blacks and Native Americans will get together. Aside from the fact that I already probably have Native American in my blood, I was born in Northern California, in Shasta County, Redding, California, into the backwoods. I was born in the backwoods of Northern California, which is 2.5 hours north of Sacramento. And Sacramento's like 7 hours north of LA. So if you're in some part of the world, you're wondering, I heard about Hollywood. Isn't that California? Well, that's way far away from where I'm at. Like, California is one of those states during the Old West times where it's like, motherfucker, if you were going from Sacramento to what's modern day LA back then or going down into Mexico, like, bro, you're trekking for days and days and for weeks. You're going to be trekking on horseback to get from Sacramento all the way down into Mexico. But they did that shit back then. They were doing that shit and they were in touch with the land. And you had like trappers and shit. Like on that show American Primeval on Netflix, they show like there's white motherfuckers even who were trappers and shit that would go live with the indigenous people, you know what I'm saying, with the Native Americans. They would go live with them and shit and learn the different, you know, the different practices that they had for living in touch with the land. So on some land back shit, you know, shout out to the Land Back for the People podcast. I am definitely riding with y'all. I was definitely inspired with the direction I've been taking the channel after watching Land Back for the People, because on the Land Back for the People podcast, and I advise anyone to watch it, regardless of your race or culture or, you know, ethnic background, you should watch the Land Back podcast, because what they're dealing with is they're talking about when people who are indigenous to a land that they've inherited for eons from their ancestors, to be massacred and have that land taken from you, and then also put into confinement zones, your children being taken and put into boarding schools where they're being abused, tortured, beaten. You can't even see what's happening to them. Your children have just been taken. Your village, your tribe, clan, massacred. You're now being forced to live in this confinement camp, and you're being divorced from the indigenous land that you're native to, which causes depression, like multi-generational, like for real depressed. When you're supposed to be someone in touch with nature, and you get put in a Rubik's Cube, you're gonna be depressed. That's like me. I'm a creative. I consider myself, I don't know, I can't put one label on me, because you know how they say jack of all trades? I say jack of all trades. They say jack of all trades, master of none. That's what the saying is, which sounds stupid. Dumb motherfucker probably made it up. So my version is jack of all trades, master of most, nigga. Like, master of most. Like, of most of the shit I know how to do, I got to master level on it, or I wouldn't have moved on. Like, you know what I'm saying? I fuck with different shit. I've been doing different shit, bro, for many fucking years. I started doing this shit when I was 15 in fucking high school, and I'm starting to see, like, I'm hitting, like, a, you know, like a return, because I'm seeing a lot of the shit from then, and I'm like, oh, shit. But anyway, I've done a lot of shit. I became a rapper when I was 15. I've been in many different rap groups, rapped in studios, rapped out of the studio, freestyle, cypher, battle live on the internet. You know, anything you could do in rap, I fucking have done it. I've put out my own music, put on streaming, didn't make no money. They are ripping you off if you have your music on streaming. I thought, I'm legit. I paid for TuneCore. I'm going to be like Russ. Everyone's going to find my music. And I got paid $20 for a year worth of streams after paying $50. I don't know how much I paid, honestly, to start TuneCore, because I had to pay TuneCore $75. I had to pay BMI money. They still are entitled to rights to my shit. You know, I didn't read the whole contract. Like, so I had to do BMI, I had to do TuneCore. I probably paid close to $200 to get all my music legit. You know what I'm saying? On streaming. Nobody hears it. It's oversaturated. Most of the streams, honestly, are mine. I was playing my shit on my tablet, logged into a different email. I'll admit it. That $20 is my own $20. So anyway, that's what the fuck happened. Didn't make no money. Didn't go legit off it. But anyway, like I was saying, I've done different shit. I've been in different rap groups, you know what I'm saying? Different projects, different movements, organizations. I was a protester. I was involved in the Occupy Wallstreet protest movement. If you go Google or YouTube, search like the history of the Occupy Wallstreet movement, Wikipedia, read about it. It was a nationwide protest. They're protesting corporations being given, from what I know, it was some crooked shit where they gave corporations like the same rights as being a person, as if a business entity of a corporation is a person. And I guess by doing that, they were able to make it to where corporations could donate unlimited funds into an election. So if you have one candidate who's running and they're getting, money coming in from donors who are contributing to their campaign, you know what I'm saying? They're just using grassroots connections through politics. And then you get a motherfucker who gets like Elon Musk to come along or Jeff Bezos and drop like a billy in his campaign. Who do you think's gonna be able to afford more marketing, better commercials, more celebrities to post and say, hey, I like them? Which is gonna go farther, 800K or a billy? So I think the laws they changed or whatever, it was like, I think there could have been some kind of limitation on how much money a corporation or a business entity could put into a campaign. And they had already been buying out elections under the table, but they wanted to make the shit legal so they don't have to worry about it. So I'm pretty sure they changed the law to where now a corporation is the same as a person. So a person can put as much money into a campaign as they want. I think that's what it was. But that was also the problem with the Occupy Wallstreet Movement. Nobody knew what we were protesting. Like, people would show up, they'd interview people on the news, and like people didn't even know. We're 99%. 1% of our, population is the rich elites who control government. There are only 1% of rich motherfuckers that are out in the woods right now in a mansion doing some get out shit. They control every part of your life. You having to pay bills, work a job. But there are only 1% of this population, and the other 99% of us, we let them punk us every day and tell us what to do. That's how it breaks down. They used to have the 5%ers over on the East Coast in New York. And, like, they showed it in the Wu-Tang show. Like, what's today's mathematics? And if you don't know the knowledge, they will beat your ass. Like, they were scholars and gangsters. Like, Nation of Gods and Earth is like, what's the knowledge? It's like, I ain't read a book all year, bruh. I just been hitting these blunts. They will beat your ass for that shit. You're going to go pick up a book. You're going to go pick up a book, bro. Like, you're going to pick one up. So, Nations of Gods and Earths, it was like, we as the apical black man of America, I'm the original man. Me and the black woman, we're the original man and woman. You know what I'm saying? I am God, she is Earth. The God and Earth come together to create life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you see, another, fellow, Nubian, you know what I'm saying? You see a Nubian, you be like, hey, you got it, Earth, you got it, Earth, you got it, Queen, you know what I'm saying? Power to you, you you looking beautiful today. Not even trying to holler at her, just like, on some respectful shit, and then you see God, you be like, what up, my God? Hey, my God, like, just, power to truth, hell yeah, bruh. When you're walking through the city, and you see all this corporate shit that's putting you down, you're like, fuck, I don't got that Benz right there. And then a motherfucker just be like, hey, what's up, man? Have a good day type shit. You like, yeah, for sure, bro. Just pass motherfuckers up. That doesn't happen a lot, but people who are genuine, motherfuckers will say, hey, have a good one, shit like that. It increases your vibration. This is shit that they used to do in older eras when they had movements, real organizations, people who were mobilized into action. You know what I'm saying? Real movements, not protesting, not organizing. This is also the other thing I learned. Occupy Wall Street, I jumped off the porch into the fucking political resistance movement 15, 16, bro. Failing out of school as an honors student since kindergarten. Failing out of school, jumping into a political resistance movement because I studied so hella shit. Even though I didn't know shit back then, I still knew hella shit. Because I was saying shit back then that they're just putting on TikTok for you now. And motherfuckers said I was crazy. I had to go through a psychiatric program after that. Because motherfuckers thought I was crazy. They thought I was like Antifa out or something. I didn't blow up no cars or no shit. I was trying to do some MLK shit. I grew up in Reading where it's white as fuck, bruh. The only black heroes I even had as a kid was Martin Luther King and Jackie Robinson. I'm talking about historically as far as like what I was able to get out of school. Like, I didn't hear about who Malcolm X was. I didn't hear about Huey P. Newton was. I knew who Tupac and shit is because of hip-hop. But in terms of, like, these other historical figures and figures who influenced a Tupac, I didn't hear those names. You know what I'm saying? So MLK was like, every time I gotta do historical figures, like, I'm gonna do some MLK shit because I want to do some black shit. You know what I'm saying? Even as a kid, I've always had an interest in black history and, you know, Pan-African studies and African studies. So that's, you know, that played an influence on a very pivotal time. Like, age 5, I'm doing this Martin Luther King shit. So coming up, and then me getting into political shit, political science, you know, in high school, as a high school student, outside of class, like, just getting into, like, well, what is the government really doing? And how does it work? And how do they get this money and move it over here? How did they fund a war? Looking into those kind of questions and getting political, it's like protesting. You see in the 60s, you know, Black Panther movement, Black Power movement, the protests with the hippies in Vietnam. You grow up seeing all this shit, and you're like, well, if this is the kind of shit I'm into, this political resistance shit, I gotta go to some protests. So I jump off the porch, bro, and go to that shit. I go to a protest. It was a march from, like, I think we met up, like, Cesar Chavez Plaza type shit, which if we did meet up at Cesar Chavez Plaza, that's insane, because Cesar Chavez Plaza is where I used to fucking, that was like the staple of my underground grassroots movement, was at Cesar Chavez. We would all meet up at Cesar Chavez, and we started gathering. People who just would be walking around would come through, and we do these big powwows in Cesar Chavez Park. I almost went there today. I almost went into the park, but there's a lot of crazy motherfuckers and tweakers and, you know, people who are unhoused just passing through the park over there. You see a lot of mental crisis happening. I literally seen a mental crisis happening as I was looking over at the park. A guy coming from the park is like yelling, "Motherfucker, I'll fucking kill you, you motherfucker." And I'm just like, yeah, I would like to take a little walk around right there real quick just to see what's going on. But then at the same time, it's like we live in a different era now. Things are much worse. You know, back then, we could kick it in the park right there, and you have a lot of unhoused people. You have some people that are drug users coming through, some people that are losing their minds coming through, things you're seeing. But it's like, as a teenager, it's like, shit, now that I'm talking about it out loud, I didn't even realize how crazy some of this shit was. Like, that's the kind of environment, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, niggas got nunchucks, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes a drug motherfucker, some motherfucker try to walk up on you, you gotta be like, get the fuck back, motherfucker, and they skitter like a roach. You know, shit like that, you gotta learn, you know. They call it street smarts, but I don't like that term because people think street smarts is like being hood or like being trap, like the trap music. Like, it's like, no, bro, it's like being on the street, like outside on the concrete in a city urban environment. That's the quote unquote streets. Like, do you know how to not be targeted to get mugged? Like, motherfuckers, a motherfucker who's getting targeted to be mugged is someone who's giving off a prey energy. Like, motherfuckers, they're predators. They don't go after other wolves. They go after rabbit and mice and sheep. You feel me? Like, a motherfucker that's a predator is going to go after prey. They're not going to try to challenge another, like, not predator, but equal level beast, like another wolf, someone who's on point, who will dog their shit, who's ready to go. Fuck it, nigga, let's ride. I don't give a fuck. All right, we got to do it, nigga. It's me or you. It's you, nigga. It ain't me. You know, they're not. Why would they try to challenge someone like that when they could go after somebody who's weak, who's just gonna fold and go, oh my god, and boom, you just got your whole shit took. So, shit like that, shit you gotta learn out here, bro. Shit you gotta learn, shit you gotta know, bro. Shit. And nowadays, the world is different. So that's why, like, even though I like going downtown, still I like, you know, seeing the city or whatever, but in concentrated doses, you know. Like, back then I was really just, because when you're a kid you just want to be out of the house, so it's like, fuck it, we're at the park, all these motherfuckers going crazy around us, but it's like, this is where we're kicking it, this is like the adventure, you know. You don't realize like the danger of shit. That's like the blessing and the curse, but it's really a virtue of, like, when you're young you don't know shit, you're just reckless, you don't think like this could change my whole life, you don't think of shit like that, you do shit. You know, if you're lucky, if you're blessed, if you got bliss on you, you know, if you got God's bliss on you, you know, shit works out. But, you know, shit cannot work out. Sometimes motherfuckers, you know, shit, you get caught up on some shit. So, just gotta know how to move and groove. Knowing how to move and groove. But this goes back to the weed thing. About the weed, bro. So, dispensary weed, I wasn't fucking with it. Now I'm really fucking with it. So, I'm pushing Eighth Brother. I've been wanting to try them. I did like a Reddit search. I think someone tried to talk shit about Eighth Brother. I like their logo. I felt like they look like they might have good weed. They have a stoner-friendly logo, a logo that makes me want to buy their product. But I thought, oh, well, they said it wasn't that good. So I tried this other shit. It was called like Big Tree or some shit. And I had gotten another weed from them, and it was cool. But this last weed I just got was Bammer, bro. And I paid like $55 for it. It was like a little 7 grams. that's $55 in the fucking, out of the dispensary. So I'm expecting at least to get high. I literally didn't even get high. I don't know if it's because I'm getting too much into like Kundalini perception to where like weed doesn't do shit. Because I heard about this yogi to where, bruh, they was giving him acid, right? He's a yogi who like had meditated on a mountain for like decades or whatever the fuck and become ascended. They was giving him acid and he was like, nothing's happening. Because he had already attained 1,000-petal lotus Kundalini awakening. He already has acid happening all the time. That's what happens when you achieve true transcendental enlightenment. I feel like there's the point at which you're gaining significant knowledge. There's a point at which you are applying significant knowledge. And then there's like the point where you hit true transcendence and become like a fucking straight up Buddha. When you hit nirvana, God level. Like, not you are a God, but in the grace of God. Whatever your God is. The immense of the universe. I say the immense. Because I feel like we deify God with human traits. I don't identify God with human traits. I don't think of God as a vengeful God. I don't think of my God as a vengeful God. I do fear the wrath of God. Oh God, you have to. I definitely fear the wrath of God. But I don't personify God in my mind with human traits. I feel like, how could God have human traits that I battle with? He's God. He fucking created everything, or it. The fucking, that's the thing. Just the term God. It's absolute. But God is everything. So you can't pin it down to just, well, that's God. You can't just characterize God as like a personality because God is everything. You can't give it a gender. That's something humans have. God is transcendence of all that is immense. That is God, the immense. We characterize it as God because we have to. We have to perceive God to a level that we relate to help us funnel through this fucking matrix. And that's part of God. That's part of God too. That's part of it. Like, the mind of God is your own mind. You are the mind of God in existence. You came into being as a living existence. You came into being. Like, that's the immenseness of the universe. So you can't put shit within a finite. In the academic world, they teach you a finite existence. Your perception is limited, therefore your reality is limited. There's no such thing as truth until you decide what true is. Dr. Delbert Blair. So, back to this weed shit. With the eighth brother weed, I'm fucking with it. Combined with some Kana gummies. Shout out Kana with the weed gummies. Fuck with those. Took 4, 5, 6 of those. Packs like $100. I might take 8. Just 8. Fucking, smoke like 15 of these. Just play. I'm talking shit. Yeah. So weed, protesting, politics. Today's President's Day. So this is the President's Day episode. This is President's Day episode, bro. Free Minds Podcast. What episode is this? Is this episode 4? I don't know which episode number it is, but I know it's President's Day. I woke up, didn't know it was President's Day when I went outside. And then I'm like, oh, it is President's Day. People were doing protests. That's why I was talking about the protest shit, because people was doing national protests today. And they was protesting and shit. And I was seeing protesters, and it was giving me flashbacks to, like, when I was 15. So I was thinking about all this shit, getting high, talking about shit, But anyway, so that's the episode. I hope we touched on some topics. I hope there was some interesting or funny anecdotes in that shit. Shout out to my broke ass fucking background, you know what I'm saying? Some hater troll in the comments said, The only thing I could think about is that broke ass background. Talking shit in my comments like, bruh, it's called a garage. Like, I've seen other garages. If you don't have like wallpaper showing shit inside of a garage, that's what the wall looks like, bruh. Like, it's a garage. Like, I got a Rick and Morty poster, bitch. I got a fucking Believe sign, nigga, that was in my grandmama's house since the fucking 40s, bitch. Don't be talking shit, you bitch. This is my fucking background. Fuck you, nigga. Yeah, I cut most of that, but I kept some of it, so y'all can get a little glimpse. You know, I got a little shady for a second. I don't want to get too shady. But nah, for real, this has been the Free Minds Podcast. I'm your host, En Pandit Cole, CEO of Total Shock Entertainment. Total Shock Entertainment, to do a brief commercial, brought to you by our sponsor, Total Shock Entertainment. Total Shock Entertainment is a media entity. We publish books. We have dark fantasy, horror fiction books that you can buy off Amazon. We also promote music. Yes, we promote music. We promote international hip-hop from around the world. There's artists we host here on the channel from Venezuela, Spain, Italy, but we do have a hyper focus on Japan because we love Japan, and Japan is awesome, and it's the best country in the world, and anime is awesome, and ninjas are awesome, and samurais are awesome, and Yakuza is awesome, you know, and everything awesome comes from Japan. So that's why we do a hyper focus on Japanese hip-hop out of Japan, artists such as A-Witch, reigning queen of hip-hop in Japan, Jin Dog, Anarchy, The Legend, Mari, the Japanese hip-hop Mona Lisa herself. We got artists, bro. We got artists. But Total Shock Entertainment, we're promoting international hip-hop from around the world. We have books, dark fantasy, horror fiction books you could get off Amazon, published under the author En Pandit Cole. Shout out to the Land Back for the People podcast. We're taking the land back. The land has been telling me, take back the land. I'm going to start taking it back. Fuck. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Was that the message? The shit just fell. I said I'm gonna take the land back. My whole shit fell out. Oh no. This just got spooky. We gotta cut the episode. That's it. That's all. No, that's it. Total Shock Entertainment.